Hi and welcome to this reading. Today's reading is an interesting one. I've been pulling through some energies and some songs actually and getting lots of downloads through meditation. So I'm going to just pull on the threads a little of what I have been getting and I guess take you along for the journey just into some investigative tarot that I am doing rather than pulling it away from the camera. I'm going to pull the cards in front of you. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. A bit about me first. I'm an intuitive tarot reader. I pick up on energy prior to a reading. I will then come and use my tarot and oracle decks to further clarify the message. I'm also an illustrator, so all the designs that you see on all of the tarot decks, which are my own designed tarot decks, they are my own illustrations on the covers and on the undersides of the decks. So if you call to any of those, the links can be found in the description box. So I have been getting for the last probably 2 or 3 weeks the Krista Berg song, A Spaceman Came Traveling. And layering in on top, and I often get messages in little tiny bits and pieces, and then I've kind of got to pull them all together. I have done a reading on this before, probably 6 to 8 months ago, but not in conjunction with the things that are currently playing out in the sky. Now, not a religious reading, but obviously the context of that song is religious, and the symbolism in the messages that I have been getting are actually religious in nature. So if that's not for you, feel free to click off. But what I have found fascinating in my journey through my own spirituality, my own journey in the tarot and in the oracle cards, is finding hidden meanings within things and peeling back the layers of what it actually means. And what I have found is nothing is completely obvious, and then everything is completely obvious. So these were the 2 cards that came out. Now, we have the North Node in Aquarius. The North Node sits in a sign for 18 months. It's currently, the North Node is in Pisces, which is spirituality. And the South Node, which is what we are collectively leaving, is Virgo. So Virgo in itself, Virgo, the symbolism of Virgo is the maiden. If we think about Virgo as a constellation, it's the Virgin Mary, because Virgo and Virgin come from the same Latin root word. It's the maiden. She's the only female on the zodiac wheel, and even if we look at the glyph for Virgo, it is an M, and on the bottom of it, it's almost got like a little fish on the bottom of it, which is the symbol, the Christian symbol of Jesus. So we're looking at mother and child. Now, if you think about mother and child, you think about the Virgin Mary. So that was immaculate conception. That was an immaculate birth, meaning that there was no human intervention. It was all divine. The other card that I got was Mary's crown, which is 12 stars. So the symbolism of Mary, if you see Mary in a picture or on a statue, she always has 12 stars on the top of her head. I'm just going to look up what the 12 stars on the top of her head mean. The 12 stars on Mary's crown symbolize the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 apostles, representing the continuity of God's people from the Old to the New Covenant, so from the Old to the New Testament. They also signify 12 graces, privileges, and perfections of Mary, including her immaculate conception and her role as mother of Jesus. The imagery originates from the vision of look at that. The vision of the woman clothed with the sun in Revelation chapter 12, and portrays her as the Queen of Heaven and the mother of the church. Okay, so if we're looking at those 2 religions and where I'm headed today in terms of the messages that have come through, there are 3 Abrahamic faiths. So Mary is symbolized by the transition because she was Jewish, and she had a son who became the head of Christianity. So that transition between the 2. The number 12 in Islam holds significance through the references to the 12 lunar months, the 12 tribes of Israel, which is in the Quran, the 12 apostles, also in the Quran, and the 12 imams, who are spiritual and political successors to the Prophet Muhammad. The number also noted in the Quran, which symbolizes 12 springs 12 leaders and 12 tribes. Okay, so the North Node in Aquarius. As I said, the North Node is currently in Pisces and it heads over to Aquarius. After being 18 months in Pisces, it heads over to Aquarius midway through next year. The North Node in Aquarius, soar to the heavens, they must chase their dreams and champion righteous crusades. And we're also in a Pluto and Aquarius transit. So it's just beautiful that we have Pluto and Aquarius, which is a period of revolutionary change, crusades, people taking on the powers that be in order to exact change in the collective. And then we have the North Node going into Aquarius for 18 months in the middle of next year. So the North Node sits in one sign and the South Node, which is what we are releasing, sits in the opposite sign. So currently we are releasing Virgo. The South Node being in Virgo, it's about the practicality of life. I want to say everything being ordered and structured and written, but with the North Node being in Pisces, it's about releasing yourself to the beauty of spirituality itself, to the things that are miracles. So let me pop these up here. I'm going to get that. I'll put that one there. Okay, I'm going to get a card from my Divine Messages deck, and then I'll get into the messages. Hidden, things that are done in the dark. I'll take that one. Follow your soul's calling, which is what I was just saying. Where are you being led? Communication, mastery, healing, be gentle with yourself, and learning from hard lessons. Right, I'm going to put those back in there. And I just want, listen to those birds. I want one from my Gwen deck. This is images that remind me of my grandmother. Okay, what have we got? Oh, I'm just gonna... That's Mary in the grotto and her rosary beads. And that sat as a little child, actually her whole life, that sat on the top of her duchess in her bedroom. She was part of a prayer group to Mary. That is so beautiful. That is, honestly, that is so beautiful. Like, lovely. A journey. That's a journey card. Follow your soul's calling and a journey. Okay, so let me get into the messages. So, and there's many of them. As I said, I was getting the Krista Berg, did I say that? The Krista Berg song, A Spaceman Came Calling. I'm going to read you the lyrics. Okay. A spaceman came travelling. A spaceman came travelling on his ship from afar. 'Twas light years of time since his mission did start, and over a village he halted his craft, and it hung in the sky like a star, just like a star. He followed a light and came down to a shed where a mother and child were lying there on a bed. A bright light and silver shone around his head, and he had the face of an angel, and they were afraid. Then the stranger spoke. He said, "Do not fear. I come from a planet a long way from here, and I bring a message for mankind to hear." And suddenly the sweetest music filled the air, and it went la 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 la, and it goes on and on and on. Peace and goodwill to all men, and love for a child. This lovely music went trembling through the ground, and many were awakened on hearing that sound, and travellers on the road, the village they found by the light of that ship in the sky, which shone all around. And just before dawn, at the paling of the sky, the stranger returned and said, "Now I must fly. When 2,000 years of your time has gone by, the song will begin once again to a baby's cry. And the whole world is waiting to hear the song again. There are thousands standing on the edge of the world, and a star is moving somewhere. The time is nearly here. The song will begin once again to a baby's cry. Now, if you think about that, literally was 2025 years ago. So let me get into these messages. What I was getting was first Adam and first Eve, which is obviously Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, the story that is part of the creation story of those three religions. And as I said to you, we've already had the merging from Judaism to Christianity through the birth of that child. And then the third religion, and actually a religion that is on the rise in terms of the amount of people reverting to Islam at the moment, in the next 50 years, the biggest religion on the planet. So second Adam is Jesus. And then we have second Eve. Now, second Eve hasn't returned. The symbolism of second Eve hasn't returned because we have been in this huge male-dominant society. Now, the astrology of Virgo itself, the myth of Virgo as a constellation started in the last age, when it was said that a young maiden was on the earth and disgusted by the brutality and fighting between men, she ran away to the heavens to return to bring in the dawn of the golden age, which almost has that second Eve kind of symbolism. And if you think about people in history that literally bucked the system, so this is somebody who will buck the system. I think of Queen Elizabeth. In a male-dominated world where everybody wanted a son, and Henry VIII, gosh, he killed all of his wives because he didn't get a son. And then it was his daughter that ruled in the golden age. So in the tarot, the Hermit card is number 9 because Virgo is the 9th month. The Hermit card is the number 9, so that's a spiritual journey. Follow your soul's calling. Hermit card is also things that are done in the dark, a spiritual journey that you've been on, a lonely journey that you have been on, independent, working on your own spirituality in order to rebirth. So we're potentially talking about an individual here, but as a collective, we're talking about a group of people tapping into that divine feminine energy, which is that Eve energy, that spiritual essence, that inner knowing, that inner calling. The Nine of Pentacles is Venus in Virgo. Nine of Pentacles in my decks symbolize Mother Mary. Venus in Virgo, because Venus is the mother of all mothers in Virgo. Mother Mary, obviously, and then, of course, the 12 stars, which is the crown that's on her head. Now, there's some big things that have happened within this month, this 9th month of the year. Of course, we've had the Pisces and the Virgo solar and lunar eclipses, which it's a cycle. If you think about Pisces itself, the symbol of Pisces is shaped like a V, like a vagina. And the glyph of Pisces is meant to symbolize external female genitalia. The lunar eclipse this cycle was actually a blood moon. So again, we have that symbolism of birth, cycles and birth. And then the solar eclipse, which was on the 21st, so only a couple of days ago because today's the 23rd. The solar eclipse that was on the 21st, the sun was in Virgo and the moon was in Virgo. That day was also the spring equinox. Now, the spring equinox is a rebirth. You think of spring, you think of spring lambs, spring flowers, things blooming, things coming to life. It's also associated with the god Astrea, the goddess of the dawn, symbolizing the arrival of spring. It's also associated with the star Spica, which pulls in the myth of Demeter and Persephone. Done in the dark. Now, Persephone was pulled down into the underworld, and Demeter, who was the goddess of spring, stopped all of harvest in the world until her daughter was returned. And when she returned, she asked her if she'd taken anything from the underworld, and she said she ate 2 seeds from a pomegranate. Now, pomegranates have 613 seeds, which align with the 613 commandments in the Torah, but also with the year 613, which is when Angel Gabriel told Muhammad to actually make the Quran verses public. So again, that Angel Gabriel, because it was Angel Gabriel that actually came to Mary. Now, Angel Gabriel, in terms of the big stars in the sky, we're looking at Gabriel, who came to Mary. That's Formalo, the watcher of the south, the mouth of the fish or the whale, the alpha star of the southern fish. And it symbolizes mysticism, idealism, and prophecy. This prophecy, this song. So what I want to do is I want to get you, I have been using a program, it's just an app called Stellarium, and it's fascinating to use just to see what's happening in the sky. So I want to bring up what's happening in the sky. Now, tomorrow night, this picture I screenshot yesterday, Tuesday the 23rd, is today. So yesterday, but it's for today. So what we have in the sky, we've got the sun in Virgo, we've got Mercury in Virgo. Mercury is communication. We've got the moon in Virgo, and Spica obviously is a star. That symbolizes spring and new beginnings and rebirth. We've just had the spring equinox. We've got the Swan comet, R2D2. If you watch my recent reading, R2D2. Because his name's Swan, R2. We've got the Swan comet also, and then we've got Atlas coming in. Now, Atlas is currently glowing green. I'm just going to leave that there, and I'm just going to go through that symbolism. So September 23rd, the Swan comet is in Virgo. The Mars, the moon, Mercury, and the sun are all in Virgo. Atlas is at the foot of the woman, and Venus is in Virgo. Now, Venus symbolizes the morning star and Mother Mary, because Venus at the moment can only be seen in the morning. So it's that dawn. Esther, even if you think of Esther in Judaism, Esther means star. It's dawn. Esther means dawn, hidden in the dawn. But we go to November the 1st, which is All Saints' Day. And we have the sun is making its way up into Libra. But we have Venus, this big one here, and Atlas sitting on top of it. A spaceman came traveling. Venus in Virgo is Mother Mary. A new dawn. Mother Mary bringing in a new dawn because a spaceman, and they don't believe it's a comet anymore. They believe it is something extraterrestrial. A spaceman came traveling. So we have Atlas sitting in Virgo, Atlas sitting on Venus in Virgo, which is Mother Mary, the sun in Libra, which is balance, All Saints' Day, which is like a gathering. Atlas and Venus are next to Spica, which means harvest abundance, pulling in that 613, the pomegranate, Islam. Also symbolic of Demeter, Persephone, Australia, Isis. And Australia is a myth that's written in the John Milton book, Paradise Lost, where he talks about Australia returning to Earth to usher in the Golden Age. Well, when you have to ushering something in, it's a moving from one thing to the next. I personally think it is a moving from a world led by Christianity to a world being led by females within Islam. Now, there was a reference within what I was talking about to the Revelation 12 sign, which is Revelation 12, 1 through to 5. A great sign appeared in the heaven, a woman clothed with the sun. The only woman in the heavens is the constellation Virgo, and she was clothed with the sun. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet. In Islam, the moon represents the mother, and The path to heaven lies at the feet of the Mother Mary. There's a whole chapter in the Quran. The only chapter in the Quran is actually dedicated to Mary and the story around the Immaculate Conception and the journey that she went on. And that was another song that came through. I will list it. Surah Miriam, that's the 19th surah, so the 19th chapter in Islam. So there might be something symbolic about the number 19, 19 months, 19 days, 2019. 1 and 9 is a 10, which is endings and beginnings, because we had the 999 portal this month, which happens every 15 years. And it symbolizes endings and beginnings, the bringing in of a new golden age, a golden child. A great sign appeared in the heaven, Virgo, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, which is Islam, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. It's Mary's crown. And many people, you can watch a million videos on it, they try and we're seeing the 12 stars as actual physical stars in the sky. It's not. It's the Virgin Mary. The Revelation 12 passage in the Bible is about, because the book of Revelation is the last chapter in the Bible. It's the end. It's the end of the New Testament. It's the start of something new. And a crown of 12 stars on her head. She, being with child, cried out in labour and pain to give birth. Then another sign appeared in the heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns on its head, were 7 diadems. Now, the thinking at the moment by many of the space people, so I'm not talking astrologers, I'm talking people that are watching what's happening to these comets in the sky. We've got 3i Atlas, currently glowing green, about to sit on top of Venus in Virgo, heralding in this new age. But in the last couple of weeks, there have been another 7 comets that have just appeared in the sky. And all of them, what generally happens with a comet is when they come into the orbit of the sun, they trigger bursts of energy from the sun. Well, Atlas is massive. So what if that is talking about some huge, big cataclysmic event, given that we have a swan comet in there? If you think about a black swan event, it's, like a Carrington event, some huge big thing that is a signifier of whatever's happening, of this rebirth. And its tail swept 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. Well, if something big happens in the sky, if there is some big explosion or some asteroids that sort of come together, stuff like that, that's when you get a meteor shower. And his tail swept 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman. Now I see the dragon as fire energy, which is the sun. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she gave birth, he might devour her child. And she gave birth to a son who would rule all the nations. Very interesting, right? Let's get some cards. What do I want to get? I've got one of those, got one of those, got one of those. Let's see what angel is walking with us at the moment, at this time, this pivotal time in history. 31, Lacabelle acquires knowledge. There are signs and symbols everywhere, everywhere. Ooh. General protection, that was flipped up. I'm going to pop him there because he's meant to come out. General protection, I'm going to get some information on these particular angels. 31 is the 8 of Pentacles. People born under this angel love astronomy, mathematics, and geometry. Interesting, right? May be called upon for the acquisition of knowledge and governs vegetation and agriculture, which is what Virgo is, because Spica symbolizes the thread of wheat, which is the harvest. Soul guardian for those born 10 a.m. to 10:20 a.m. Moral guardian for those born the 19th of April, the 30th of June, the 10th of September, the 21st of November, and the 1st of February. And physical guardian for those born the 17th to the 21st of August. So that's the 8 of Pentacles, which is a card of planting and sowing, waiting for the harvest, which is the 9 of Pentacles, which is my Mother Mary card. This card is the Knight of Wands. So that fire energy coming in, if we're thinking about, apologies, I just got interrupted. So the Knight of Wands, which is fiery energy, it's quick moving energy. It's that, you know, these 7 comets coming in. It's Atlas, which is doing all these weird and wonderful things in the sky. So those born under this angel will love truth and sciences and will be sincere in their words and actions. This angel obtains grace and mercy from God, rules over exiles and prisoners, works against the discovery of secret crimes, and protects from animals and assassins. Now, it's interesting, actually, because my daughter came to me last night and she'd had a dream about a public figure being assassinated. The wife of a public figure being assassinated. Soul guardian for those born 7:40 a.m. to 8 a.m. Moral guardian for those born the 12th of April, the 23rd of June, the 3rd of September, the 14th of November, and the 25th of January. Physical guardian for those born the 13th to the 17th of July. Okay, general protection as we usher in this new age. Now, let me get the energy around us at the moment. Whoa, the 4 of Cups, disappointment. I'm going to clarify that as I go, actually. Disappointment. What is this disappointment in the collective? Well, I mean, disappointment with how the world is being run, I would say. Listen to those birds. Disappointment with how the world is being run. I did see, yeah, judgment. Look at that. The judgment card talks about, there's a passage in the Bible, Daniel's 70 weeks, and it's 70 times 7, and it talks about 490 years. The judgment painting that was painted on the back of the Sistine Chapel wall in the Vatican, and actually this is the year of grace and prisoners, because the prison door was opened as part of the doors that were opened for the Jubilee. But 490 years ago, the judgment painting was painted by Michelangelo. Michelangelo is Archangel Michael, who wields the sword of truth, who brings judgment. It's the judgment of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And as I said, first Adam, second Adam, first Eve, second Eve. This dawning, the dawning of the age of Aquarius is what I just heard. What else? And if you think about the mythology of Australia, Astraea is how it's written, Australia. It's actually how Australians say Australia. We don't say Australia. We drop the L, Australia. Where are you from, Australia? So every time I say it, I think, just a bit of a messes with my brain. The devil. And Jesus came in because there was a devilish, toxic component to the Jewish faith. Even when Muhammad was receiving all the messages for the Quran, now this man was literate. He couldn't read or write. And so he was getting these messages from Angel Gabriel, and he was writing, well, he wasn't writing them down. He was, I don't know who was writing them for him, but they were being written down from the messages that he was getting. But it was because what had happened 200 years earlier, around 330, I think it was 333 actually, when Constantine and the Council of Nicaea all got together and decided which books were being put in the New Testament. They left a whole heap out, including the Gospel of Mary. The essence of the rebirth within the religion comes from Mary, because if you think about a woman as opposed to a man, and no disrespect to men, but a woman brings a soul from the ethers into, she's essentially the vehicle. Okay, a man is part of that, but it's actually the woman that births. The woman that births the baby. That's her role. Interesting, the devil. The devil in the collective at the moment. Divine judgment on the devil in the collective at the moment. And these comets and asteroids coming through with that song coming through to sort of say, hey, there's a change coming. And it will come with this big rebirth or birth. Okay. Ooh. So we've got the Death card, which is death and rebirth, a Scorpio, and we've got the Lovers card, which is choice point, but that card symbolizes Adam and Eve. So the second Eve, choice. And Gemini, I think I said that before. I'm not sure whether I showed you the images. I don't actually think I did. April 5th next year is Passover. Passover symbolizes a new beginning. It's when they left one thing and went to another. So they left Egypt and went. It also symbolizes, please excuse the lady behind, school holidays at the moment. Also symbolic of Easter, which is birth, but it's also Eid. So April 5th next year, 2026, Atlas will be in Sagittarius. Jupiter, which is the king. Jupiter is the king. Jupiter, the sun, Mercury will all be in Pisces. Uranus will be in Taurus, which is Archangel Michael. It's power and leadership. So it's this change in power. The Swan comet will be in Aquarius. Saturn will be in Aquarius. Now, Australia, the myth of Australia is when she returns to the earth, when the maiden in Virgo returns to the earth holding Saturn. So she's bringing karmic justice to the earth, which is judgment, through the birth of something new, the birth of a golden age. Saturn will be in Aquarius. Now, as I said before, that's Fomolo, the royal stars of Persia. Fomolo, which is prophecy. Fomolo is Archangel Gabriel, which is the messenger that came to Mary. At that particular time, again, the moon will be in Virgo. And then we've got Venus in Taurus, which is where the Pleiades are. Now, the Pleiades story, the Australian myth story of the Pleiades, is 7 sisters that were being chased and ran away to the stars, and they formed the Pleiades, which is very, very similar in context to Virgo running up to the stars to hide from the wickedness of men. Interesting. And then come May, and this is what happened in Stellarium. So I put in the 5th of April, but because the date and the month are back to front, it actually came up with May the 4th, which is May the 4th be with you. The Empire strikes back. So we've got the moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is death and rebirth. We've got Atlas then in Gemini. Castor and Pollux, that's the twins. The Lovers card. Adam and Eve. It's also symbolic of Cain and Abel, the children of Eve. And then we've got the Swan comet in the constellation, the Phoenix. So this Phoenix rising from the ashes. Really, really beautiful symbology. Okay, let's get some symbol rising from the ashes. Oh, look at that. We've got the Ace of Wands, a new beginning, the Seven of Pentacles, which is, oh, no joke, seriously. Okay. The Ace of Wands is symbolic of Moses and his brother Aaron, and I'm losing my voice, walking from one age to the next, from slavery to freedom. Ace of Wands. Now that wand was the staff that his brother Aaron carried. It was the staff that Moses hit down into and parted the Red Sea, and it was actually put in the Ark of the Covenant, and then it was sealed up. But something sprouted, something grew, which is why on it you can see these tiny little blooms. Something bloomed. Then here we have the Seven of Pentacles. Now in this particular card, this is my Jacob and Rachel card. So we're talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. 77 he was when he wrestled with God. He then worked, he was tricked, he then worked for 7 years for Rachel's father in order to marry her, was tricked into marrying her sister, and then had to work another 7 years. So this is this harvest energy, this kind of working, plowing. Even if you think of, a baby just doesn't appear mysteriously, it has to go through an incubation period. And then we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is my Mother Mary card. This is a single woman. This is a single woman who plants a seed, grown in the dark, plants a seed that causes a collective rebirth, that turns into the rebirth of the golden age, the age of Aquarius. This is so lovely. Let's do soul energy. Yeah, why is it happening? The Five of Wands, because the myth of Virgo was that man was battling egos, fighting, waging wars. And she'd had enough. So she went up to the sky to return. And it was time for peace, when it was time for harvest, when it was time to plant a seed. Five of Wands, which is Saturn in Leo. Interesting, right? Saturn in Leo. I just heard secret women's business coming back to take charge, because Pluto in Aquarius is when power goes back to the people. So those in Leo energies are stripped of their power through this rebirth. Okay, what else have we got? North Node in Aquarius, the Queen of Cups. Look at her. Beautiful, intuitive, guided. That's the Virgin Mary receiving intuitive messages from Archangel Gabriel about a soul journey that she's meant to go on. Now, Mary actually had to move away, and that journey was done alone, which is very much the essence of the spiritual revolution that people are going in at the moment. And I believe it actually started during COVID, because we were all forced to strip back. You know, what was the point of buying clothes? What was the point of buying, you know, all of this stuff if you were stuck in your house? We kind of really got an opportunity to actually have a look in the mirror and see where we were headed collectively. Queen of Cups. Cutting out all the guff. Page of Pentacles. Being a student. Oh my goodness. A student of life. And we've got the Empress. Now, I think I started this reading and I didn't check the time. It was 3:33. The Empress card is the number 3. And interestingly, Atlas symbolizes a map, symbolizes a journey that you are on. And Atlas is the top of the spine. And there are 33 vertebrae. Even in Jesus was 33. That's interesting, actually, because that would be Atlas, which is 33. On the 1st of November, which is All Saints' Day, will be sitting over Venus in Virgo, which is Mother Mary. So mother and child connected by the number 33 on the 1st of November, which is when the veil is lifted. Wow, this is beautiful. Now, you have to ignore the sounds in the background. There are people getting dinner ready, so there's clanging and banging of pots and pans. Okay, the message from the man upstairs about this. Queen of Pentacles, solar journey. This is a solo journey. The Queen of Pentacles is somebody who is single, independent, builds her own wealth, whether it be physical wealth, 3D wealth, or spiritual wealth, but she does it on her own, and that's what Mary did. Did I take that one? Yeah, let's grab that one. What else about this Queen of Pentacles? The Queen of the Heavens is what I just heard. The Queen of the Heavens. The Two of Cups. Yeah, balanced. Balanced divine, feminine, divine, masculine energies. That's what she's done. Balanced her divine, feminine, and divine, masculine energies on her own, independent. Queen of Pentacles is independent. Wow. Oh. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. Lady Luck is on your side, is what I heard. Lady Luck is on your side. And the Eight of Wands, which is communication, and then the outcome. The Eight of Swords, that's Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter in Gemini, let me just have a look, because yeah, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Atlas is in Gemini, and so is Jupiter. May the 4th next year. That doesn't make sense because it should be Jupiter in Cancer. Does Jupiter retrograde next year? It must do for a little bit. Trapped. Jupiter in Gemini. Let me just double check that. It's definitely Jupiter in Gemini. But is it freedom energy? Let's have a look at that. 6 of Cups. So something happening that's previously happened before. More on this Jupiter in Gemini. The 4 of Wands. Yeah, okay, I see what's going on here. And the World. I'm going to wait for that to come out by itself. Oh, I think I've got one. So the 4 of Wands is celebration energy, but it's also the pillars. The 4 pillars are what we've been stuck in, what we've been bound to, and this change. This is breaking free, is how I'm reading that. The Knight of Cups, which is the Moon in Scorpio. That's so interesting because what's on the bottom? The Queen of Swords, which is Uranus in Aquarius. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. The Moon in Scorpio. Jupiter in Gemini next year. And the Moon in Scorpio. That's the cards. It's literal. This reading is literal. Okay, what else do we need to know about? Have faith, service to God. Lily of the Valley, Mary's tears. Do I want to get one of those? Yes. This is my favourite things deck. What else do we need to know? A to Z, the beginning and the end, and we've got the key. The key to the change. That's a shell. That's a shell that's been buffed back to a pearl. So the outside looks like pearl. Something hidden inside. Because a pearl is hidden inside. Something very, very precious hidden inside. But on this, it's coming to the outside. We're going to be able to see. Yeah, and again, a key. We're going to be able to see the precious gift, I want to say. Now, this is my travel deck. I'm just going to get to see if there's anything else. Anything else on this spaceman that's coming traveling. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, but it came out that way. Things being knocked down. I'm going to put it that way. That's how it came out. Things being knocked down. It's almost like, if you look at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, like literally you'd just be able to push it and it would go. That's where we're at. Like it's, we're so close. So close. And that's in Wales. In Snowdonia in Wales. And there's a bridge that goes across. All I'm getting from that card is comfort and peace. Faith, service to God. On the bottom. That's Notre Dame. Okay, let me get some Scrabble tiles. I don't like that, that's crooked. Letters and numbers in here. It does make a little bit of noise. We'll give it a shake and see what wants to come out. If you've got hearing sensitivity, just turn your volume down. I'm going to shake it in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we've got a B and a 3, an A and a 1, a W and a 4, a D and a 2, a V and a 4, a Z and a 10, an R and a 1, an M and a 3, and a H and a 4. Okay, 3 final cards. What do I want to get? Let's do those. 3 final cards. Anything else that we need to know? Oh, truth. A new beginning. And the Emperor. The Emperor drives the chariot, but this to me is about the rise of the divine feminine in the collective. The King of Cups, something coming from the from underneath, from the depths, because the King of Cups is Neptune in Pisces. This rise of divine feminine energy, and we already have her here in the soul, and it's to cut out that constellation of Virgo myth, coming back, leaving because of the wickedness of man, the fighting, the ego, leaving because of that. That's how she ended up in the sky, but she's returning. She's returning with a sword of truth. I just heard to cut out the tongues of wicked Emperor energies. Cool. The King of Cups. Okay, that's what I've got for you. Thank you so much for joining me. If this reading resonated with you, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. As I said, all the decks that I use on my channel are my own designs. So if you're called to any of those, the links to them can be found in the description box. Any of the songs that I mentioned, I'll also pop in there as well. If you're called to, please click on the links. There might be more messages in the lyrics of those songs or in the music videos. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you in another reading.